I'm on the phone with Maryam Taheri, Master of Content Marketing and Social Media from San Francisco, California. Good morning or afternoon, Maryam, and thanks for agreeing to the call.
Good afternoon. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks. You recently posted a blog post on your Creative Market website regarding web design trends, and I have a few questions for you.
I'm so excited. Let's get started.
Awesome. Could you summarize some of those trends that you reported on, and what have you learned since getting some of the comments?
Well, first of all, I think that this year we've seen a huge emergence in flat design, simplicity, and minimalism. Everything from Apple products to websites, and even you're seeing like now designs going with the trend of going towards something that's a lot more simplistic. So I recently reviewed all of the trends that have gone through graphic and web design this year in 2013, and trends are going to start to see disappearing in 2014. The year has gone by so fast, but we've still seen so many changes when it comes to web design. By the end of next year, I'm pretty sure that we're going to start seeing homepage sliding, those big eye-catching banners that, seemed to be a good idea a long time ago, but you're just seeing that more and more people are getting frustrated with having to click through slideshows. They want images that are all right there in a single page scrolling type of manner. You don't want to go onto a website and have to click a button to view every image and caption. You want it all right there in front of you in a beautiful way that's simple and easy to use. And that's why we're going to see those, big slideshows disappearing, simply because it's not a great user experience.
Yeah, I could kind of relate to that. I think it's MSN that has the sliding news, which is cool. It's timed at about every 6 seconds, but it's on to the next slide. By the time I get to the first sentence or two, it's on to the next story, which, is, for me at least, troublesome, bothersome. Maybe it works for them, but, right?
Yeah, it's not a really great user experience, and that's, I think, why we're seeing those sort of interfaces leave web design. People want it to be simple. They want to find what they want to find in the easiest way possible while looking amazing.
Fair enough. Designed for your audience, I suppose. But for me, it doesn't work, and I suppose, that obviously is a trend, so somebody must agree, right?
Yeah, I've seen, if you've ever, looked at Pop Sugar, I'm on Twitter constantly, and so I'm constantly seeing news stories. And what Pop Sugar does is they have like all of these slideshow kind of stories, these slideshow news stories that you have to, keep clicking, and it's just not a great user experience. People don't want to have to click and, go through all of that fuss. They want it to just be a really nice experience. I mean, same with Yahoo's homepage. It's like this big slideshow that has these little captions, and it's just crowded with information. It doesn't look seamless and nice.
What are some of the other trends that you're seeing?
So another main trend that we're seeing a lot of right now that's on its way out the door, and then I'll go back into what we're seeing emerging, is we're seeing, those long, extensive contact forms and that you fill out, when you're trying to contact a business or you're looking for customer support, those long contact forms that ask you for tons of information. We're seeing those, make their way out for more simplistic user interfaces. Again, I keep going back to simplistic. Simplistic doesn't mean that it's, bare bones basic, that you're not getting what you want. It just means that web designers and developers are making websites easier to use, so it's making complex things simple. So you're not going to have to enter your name, your telephone number, everything when you're trying to someone on the internet. It's a lot simpler now. More and more we're seeing people able to connect through a lot of different social platforms, autofill in your information, and this makes people actually want to use a contact form. It makes people want to touch with a website's customer service or contact a business to get help, and often won't fill out those forms simply because it's overwhelming. You have a lot of information to fill out. Another main trend that we're seeing is logo and banner designs changing. So if you've ever seen those big badges or insignias, kind of like what you'd see on a Boy Scout or Girl Scout vest, that badge insignia kind of design, we're seeing more and more of that come about. Again, taking us back a little bit. I was a Girl Scout, a time ago, and it brings me back a little bit, but it's kind of like bringing retro and like vintage style back today, but then people are cutting it down, so it's not so many, decorative images. It's like a simplistic badge insignia design that looks really nice.
Yeah, well said. Any other trends that you're hearing or seeing?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more of typography. Typography is extremely popular these days. Everybody loves to make information look beautiful. So we've seen recently a ton of typography with you're jam-packed with 20 different fonts all at once, in one image. And we're seeing, again, a downplay on that. People are using maybe 2-3 fonts at the most when they're creating, beautiful posters or web design. You're seeing only 2 or 3 typefaces used, and you'll see one script font and one sans serif, or combined with like one big bold display typeface, and it looks really nice and engaging, as opposed to having a multitude of fonts being used. It's scaling back, and it's scaling back in a really nice way. The same thing, just overall, we're seeing complicated design tuned down. So that means we're not going to see flash intros so much anymore. We're mainly going to start seeing, I know that some people aren't a huge fan of parallax design. A lot of people are saying, parallax design is, while it looks nice, it's scrolling, it's a little bit intimidating. It's still not simple enough. And that was one of the comments that people were giving me, that like, oh, we're probably not going to see so much parallax design, so many gradients, like rounded corners, sliders, things like that. We're not going to see that so much because people really do want to trend towards the simplistic. They want what they want. There's so many pages on the internet right now. They don't want to have to go through your website and search and be distracted by tons of different gradients or sliders. They just want what they want pointed at you in a crisp and clear manner. And so really the trend that's overarching over everything is just making complex things simple. I cannot say that enough. It's like complexity simplified, if that makes sense.
It does. Less is more, right? In this case, it's proof positive of the value of that. Don't you find it interesting, Maryam, today? You live in the city, right? And you see the billboards that are out on the freeway, right? Isn't it interesting that some people still insist on putting the entire business model in their billboard when really we only have a couple of seconds to digest? San Francisco is probably a good example of a minimalist billboard design, right? But you go out throughout the country, in fact, for that matter, around the world, and you see still today in 2014 billboards with the entire business offering, including small fonts that no one would ever be able to digest in the seconds they drive by at 60 miles an hour, right? So proof positive. Agree. Yeah, less is more.
There is one billboard. Speaking of billboards, I just have to point this out. There is one billboard. So being in San Francisco, there are 1,000 billboards. I don't read half of them. There are 2 billboards that really do stand out to me, and it's partly because they just do an amazing job. And I don't spend too much time, looking at them. But the reason that I like these billboards is because they're simple. So one of them is by Blue Jeans, which I had never heard of. It's a conferencing company. And what they did is so genius. They made a billboard that looks like one of those estimated times, like this is how long it's going to take you to get from where you are in San Francisco to over the Bay Bridge and into Berkeley. It says like Berkeley, 40 minutes, Oakland, 30 minutes, Blue Jeans, 0 minutes, because it's supposed to say like, oh, you get to your destination for your video call in 0 minutes. Like, I just thought that was brilliant. And it's like,
that's classic.
Being smart, you don't have to put your whole motto. You don't have to put every little piece of your company on a billboard. You just make it simple and funny, and that was so great to me.
Yeah, also well said. It's worth mentioning that since you're a social media and a blogger, that's a trend in itself, right?
Yeah, we're seeing so many new trends coming up in social media. I don't know if you saw that new Twitter announcement.
Which one?
I believe it was, was it yesterday? No, it wasn't yesterday. Twitter announced that they were going to start allowing social scheduling, that they were going to do it themselves. So, anything that has Buffer, I don't know if you use Buffer. I use Sprout Social actually right now for my social scheduling. But Twitter actually announced that they were going to do social scheduling. So that just shows like they want to hone in on all of the companies that are doing the social scheduling.
That's a trend and a nugget in itself, right?
Right. It's people are realizing that scheduling your social stuff, your tweets, everything it's important. You want to be out there on all social media platforms, and Twitter's obviously very, very important in the social world, and so the fact that they're going to do social scheduling is really, really exciting.
Yeah, agreed 100%. Well, Maryam, we certainly appreciate all that you do for the web profession.
Yes, thank you. I'm really excited about my job, and I love, learning new things too. So thank you so much for asking me to be on your show.